Okay? Everybody's ready? Are we ready to go, John? All set. Feadóg. Plus, bra braver the sean-nós. That's a good, sprightly, spirited start, even though we said ourselves. The sean-nós. The Oireachtas is It's the big festival in Ireland for Irish speakers. We come together every year, the first week in November, and this year it's down in Killarney. And we have competitions and get-togethers, all sorts of things happen. But the competitions are very important in the Oireachtas because it keeps the standard up in the various disciplines: sean-nós singing, sean-nós dancing, lúibíní, etc. And today we're going to bring you tasters of each of these disciplines. And before we go on with some more music, I'd just like to introduce this gang to you. Share of reprobates, mostly, with a couple of exceptions. I'm not going to tell you who the exceptions are, you'll find out yourselves. Okay, beside me here is Clara Paloucek, fiddler extraordinaire of the Wisconsin Palouceks. And beside her we have Gearóid Ó Mórdha. Gearóid is a true blue, dyed-in-the-wool Dublin, born and bred, not only a dub, but a dub supporter to the bone. So beside him we have Reshkin. We speak of Karen in hushed tones because she is our boss, and it's up to her to decide who's coming back next year. So Karen is the best fiddler in Irish West. Yeah. And beside her we have the mighty Sue Spencer from Minnesota. And then beside her we have Danielle Enblom, who not only is a fiddler, but she's also a dancer, and you're going to see her performing later on doing some mighty steps. And Danielle comes all the way from Minnesota as well. And the good-looking fellow over in the corner there is Ó Dónaill from Dónaill, and he and I will be doing a couple of lúibíns for you. And where's Máire? How's she heard? Máire Ní Choilm.
She's here.
She's on her way. She's on her way. Máire Ní Choilm, when she comes in, you will give her a welcome. Máire is the current world champion of sean-nós singing. She's the current holder of Oireachtas, which is the premier competition for sean-nós singing in Ireland, and therefore in the world, because that is where the sean-nós singing is at its best. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and play the Merino Waltz. This was composed by John Sheehan, the fiddler, and the Dubliners several years ago, and it's become a big favourite all over the world. I think people recognise the Merino Waltz. When we were getting to know Carla here beside me, I said, would you happen to know the Merino Waltz? Well, of course we know the Merino Waltz. Anyway, here it goes. That particular tune was used on a television advertisement for turf, for processed turf in Ireland. There's an Irish semi-state company called Bord na Móna, the Turf Board, and they have the big bogs in the Midlands are all owned by Bord na Móna, and they produce these, what they call peat briquettes, and the whole idea is use Irish, born Irish, don't be bringing in coal, and they're better for the environment. But this was the music that was played, so lots of people who don't know the name of the tune used to, that's the Bord na Móna. It'd be played away while the fire would be blazing in the couple. Okay, so we're going to have a few jigs now, and when we get the third jig, Danielle is going to come out and dance for you. you think? Is she any good? Yeah? Yeah? Do you think that should be invited back?
Yes.
I think so, yeah. Yeah, well done. Goramíle maithigh, Danielle. Goramíle maithigh. No. Next up is the lady that we introduced to you earlier on when she wasn't here. And as we said, she is the reigning world champion of sean-nós singing, and we're going to ask her to come up and do the first of 2 songs. She'll do one later on as well. And while you're away, that's a couple of fuckler off when we know her introduced. Yeah. Okay, so Máire will tell you something about the song that she's going to sing. Chuirigh fáilte raibh Máire Ní Choilm.
How are you all? Is this your 3rd day here or your 1st day here? Or having fun? Great, great. So I'm going to sing a song by the name of Aragál Gabala Cliadú, which translates to On My Way to Dublin or Going to Dublin. So this is an old Gaelic song, and I sang it many years ago in the competition for Oireachtas. And it's a number of years now since I sang it, but I don't know, I just got a feeling about singing it today, so I hope you like it. And it's about a man, and he meets this woman as he's making his way to Dublin, but he doesn't realise that it's his own wife that he meets. So the fairies have taken away, the bad fairies have taken away his wife, and they've left a chagrin in her place, and he actually meets his own wife as he's going to Dublin. Duadi na shiagaí, the fairies took her away. And if you're interested in stories like that, there's a wonderful book written by Angela Burke, The Burning of Bridget Cleary, based on a true story. The husband and her own family members believed that the fairies had taken her away and had left this chagrin in her place, and they burnt her. The Burning of Bridget Cleary. It's a true story that happened in Tipperary. I'm not sure about the year, but it's worth a read. So, as I said the other days that the kids I was teaching, they said that my songs were very dark. Well, that's probably one of the darkest ones, all right. So, Aragál Gabala Cliadú. Aragál Gabala Cliadú, San Yedlad and Jardin.
Yeah? Could be tingles in your neck. Now we're going to go ahead with this set of reels. Our bolter. Right. spontaneous combustion there. Right, Yes. And Visha to know say Ed Paloucek, Visha then fun mal a hanyam. It was always part of our show that Ed Paloucek would play the slow air, and his daughter Clara is playing with us this year, and she's going to carry on that tradition now with a fun mal, slow air, and she'll tell you something about it herself.
Yeah, so like Ray said, I'm not from Ireland, I'm from Wisconsin. But my family, we play in the Irish tradition, so this is a slow air that my dad taught me. He plays fiddle and passing down through the generations. And at least the story that he told me about this tune, so it's called, I don't have the name in Gaelic, but it's Were You at the Rock? And he tells me that this melody was played during a time of persecution of Catholics in Ireland by the British, and this is a tune that was played when it was safe or not to celebrate Mass, which they would have to do in secrets. They would get found out, and so it's a very beautiful melody that I've enjoyed playing since my dad passed it down to me. So I hope you like it.
Take it all out, Clara. You have it in your fingers, and you have it all over now. Well, that is one beautiful tune. I wrote two in a carrick, and we're going to go from the sublime to the ridiculous now, because Joe and I are going to do a bit of a lúibíní for you, a two-hander. This is not remotely like the sort of lúibíní we do at home, because the lúibíní at home they're all Gaeltacht, they're all totally in Irish for a start, and the other thing is we don't tell lies in them. This one is full of lies, but it's full of truth also, and it's up to yourselves to figure out which is true and which is false. So there was a song in the Irish tradition called An Turan Bregach, the song of the lies, Turan the Breg. And it started off with, I saw a cow going around on a donkey's back, and saw a turkey flying over the moon, etc. All the silly things. So we have adapted the tune of that about the Irish Fest in Milwaukee. Some of the verses are in Irish, and most of them are in English, to give you a chance to complain about us later on. Oh, Oireachtas is feares, Neil Bregan will me arva. An Irish Fest Africa more, oh, mhór Danielle Enblom is sharing gomach achmla. Oh, Oireachtas is feares, Neil Bregan will me arva.
Oh, Oireachtas is feares, Neil Bregan will me arva. Coca-Cola a all in Virginia gaki his avar. Shakas Máire Ní Choilm ta tucked on Chardonnay lad.
Oh, Oireachtas feares, Neil Bregan will me arva. Not a word of a lie, but the truth of the highest degree. The Irish Fest changed quite a lot, as I'm sure you'll agree. All the Irish lads go to bed early when the beer is free. Not a word of a lie, but the truth of the highest degree.
Not a word of a lie, but the truth of the highest degree. In the Gaeltacht, the whiskey and brandy and beer is all free. But the Irish lads say they prefer the old hot milky tea.
Not a word of a lie, but the truth of the highest degree. Oh, Oireachtas feares, Neil Bregan will me arva. Vi taishpuntas urlishi moreg an Irish Fest la. Ta kion moreg Gearóid Neil Ogamach feadóg in style. Oh, Oireachtas feares, Neil Bregan will me arva.
Not a word of a lie, but the truth of the highest degree. The exhibition of flutes here last night was a wonder to me. There were long ones and short ones, and ones that you'd find hard to see. Not
a word of a lie, but the truth of the highest degree. Not a word of a lie, but the truth of the highest degree. There were flutes of all sizes and shapes at that mighty Grand Prix. And even though Prix ends in X, I will still call it Prix. Not a word of a lie, but the truth of the highest degree.
Oh, Oireachtas feares, Neil Bregan will me arva. Neil ein flute Hillary Clinton, maras all gachak. Ach, ta flute, ige far Caleb Bell, sure just ask Monica.
Oh, Oireachtas feares, Neil Bregan will me arva. Not a word of a lie, but the truth of the highest degree. All the donkeys will vote Donald Trump now unanimously. For he'll fill every job in the White House with asses, you'll see. Not a word of a lie, but the truth of the highest degree.
Not a word of a lie, but the truth of the highest degree. A donkey was braying along with a wailing banshee. Sure they make better music than this crowd, I'm sure you'll agree.
Not a word of a lie, but the truth of the highest degree. Oh, Oireachtas feares, Neil Bregan will me arva. Vi Brendan and Shaw, Jenna Dowser and sean-nós bon. Shaw Horsey a gwagna do, Bo a gol heart see her there. Oh, Oireachtas feares, Neil Bregan will me arva.
Oh, Oireachtas feares, Neil Bregan will me arva. Mar a bhaineann le dowser and sean-nós tá tusa leathgáil. Wall to Karen go hard, is ní roshi a siúl go dín bad.
Oh, Oireachtas feares, Neil Bregan will me arva. Not a word of a lie, but the truth of the highest degree. She had tried the old dancing herself, it was painful to see. She don't know your left from your right from your.
Is that you or me?
Oh, not a word of a lie, but but the truth of the highest degree.
Not a word of a lie, but the truth of the highest degree. Sean-nós dancing was invented one night in the town of Tralee, when a poor drunken donkey tripped up and hurt one of his knees. Not a word of a lie, but the truth of the highest degree.
Not a word of a lie, but the truth of the highest degree. George Bush says he's changing his name from a bush to a tree. He says there isn't a bush or a shrub that's as thick as me. Not a word of a lie, but the truth of the highest degree.
Not a word of a lie, but the truth of the highest degree. He says if I was the president now I'd do A, B and C, or maybe F, G and whatever comes next year we'll just wait and see.
Not a word of a lie, but the truth of the highest degree. Ó Faríra has feares níl breaking a will me a ra. Bhí Joe Biden is Emmanuel Macron a bladder ball. Nero Macron ro hincha on Frankish no Bernavion. Ó Faríra has feares níl breaking a will me a ra.
Is Oireachtas feares níl breaking a will me a ra. Jen Joe Biden a cholla go lua gachi gasaf. Is gach margin tranona breakfast ginger gach lau.
Faríra has feares níl breaking a will me a ra. Not the word of a lie, but the truth of the highest degree. Danielle and Karen and Máire and Sue, they went out on the spree. They explained to the cops that they only drank 23. Oh, not a word of a lie, but the truth of the highest degree.
And not a word of a lie, but the truth of the highest degree. You're a wonderful crowd, the best audience we've ever seen. And you know there's no word of a lie in this little looping. Not a word of a lie, but the truth of the highest degree.
Now we've come to the end of this looping. Not a word of a lie, but the truth of the highest degree. We've come to the end of this looping now. Breakfast leggy.
We're off to drink Coca-Cola and Sprite now, and maybe herb tea. Not a word of a lie, but the truth of the highest degree.
Where am I?
So we're going to play some more pipes now, and I'm going to dance some steps. And I just wanted to tell you a little bit about the steps before I dance them. So in the tent here, we are learning sean-nós dancing and sean-nós singing. Sean-nós means old style in Irish. But in the there's kind of a distinction between sean-nós dancing and Irish step dancing, right? What you're seeing on the stages out there, and what you might be seeing in here. And I just want to explain this a little bit before we start playing and dancing. So, in the 1970s, during the, and I've got the experts here, so they might, you're welcome to chime in and correct me if I get anything wrong here. But the Gaeltacht civil rights movement actually moved the Oireachtas to Connemara. To kind of center it back in a less, outside of Dublin, where it was very urban, and where the Gaelic League was kind of centering Irish language. And so when they moved the Oireachtas to Connemara, they wanted to create a competition for dancing that was not the Irish step dancing that we see today, and specifically the dancing that was kind of less touched by England, by kind of outside forces in Connemara. So they called that sean-nós dancing, which means old style. But then if we actually go back to the early 1900s, during the beginning of the Gaelic revival, the Gaelic League actually started holding competitions in language, and also included competitions in dance and music. And in the very first feis, which was held in West Cork,
they had the competition there were all sorts of language competitions, and then there was a dance competition and music, that's what they were called. And then the second year, they had a jig and a reel competition, and gradually the dancing became more and more and more popular. And so they actually had to form a commission on dancing, because prior to the 1900s, you had all these dancing masters who were also teaching dancing all around Ireland, and they all had their own individual styles. So they had individual styles and there were regional styles. So everyone was coming and trying to compete with all of these different styles, and there was a lot of controversy around the judging, because you couldn't really kind of compare these styles and create standards. So there was a commission that was created that kind of started to hold certain standards for step dancing. And so we see now the kind of the result of that, with all the dancers we see today kind of having the same technique, crossover, turnout, arms at the side, doing a lot of the same moves. But prior to this, there were very individual styles. So I'm going to share some of these old dancing master steps now with the second hornpipe. And you'll see steps that I learned from my teacher in Cork, Peggy McTaggart, who, when she was a little girl, learned from two of the last true itinerant dancing masters in Ireland, Cormac O'Keefe and Stevie Comerford. So you'll see some of their steps today. And then you'll also see some steps from North Kerry, where I did my master's in dance history and was able to learn from Jonathan Kelleher, who's the artistic director of Sheen Satir, the National Folk Theatre, and also Father Pat Ahern, who also learned from the famous North Kerry dancing master Jeremiah Molyneux when he was a little boy. So we'll get some Cork and North Kerry steps in here with the second hornpipe. Thanks for listening.
Maige Danielle. Agus bhfuilm éirí Maire Ní Choilm hátar leis agus úr an ceol. But tá sí sásta bhfuil tú sásta a bhfuil tá.
So this time I'm going to sing a song called Sreid Lánné, the street of Delo, because there's only the one street. You might have heard of the Mary from Delo. It's a bit like Rose of Tralee, but it's on a smaller scale. But in this song, the man was sent to prison for stealing the buarach na bó. Do you know buarach, Ray? Buarach na bó?
The tether
of the cow. So for doing that, for stealing that, he was sent to prison. But he's saying to them, tell them all that I'll be back to them soon by St. Patrick's Day. So he doesn't seem to be too worried about it. So Sreid Lánné. Shanadek Mishis Raja Lánné. Be the bands of music, Ikshanya Memoye. Boltir Mohilti, Sanchine Dolame. Is a chamor, Gerologe, Nyado Memoye. Majil no wara janangar the malafe. Honey bottle no boyen no good dog she do treat. Galam nanor wall try to bavrona havi me. Esek bris and dulje verfuar me all lesanske. Vinho avançando no ar a vi melomen. Le morreu a robbery nor what any bay. Hanik she arish nogger fog she movel. Na kali the rigeta dosh gridin begrei. Shall our court the art to us van a heart. Shem be a momradi a hen is mo coin. And it should the sea show Danielle Enblom. Go one meshek to breeze and power na bon. Bershkella wem gaherin in Sir Waya Elmioid. Go her the bullawadi Najamin Antizok. And ish doma kalini adeg memoye. Go memeshari so walago. Ek felt quadrex mego. Nick.
Ramina Maige Dónaill agus Ramina Maige Upshas Chat. Mhór fé an show hard by Clara Paloucek on Maige. When this show is finished, there's a sean-nós singing workshop in this tent with Máire. And anybody that's interested in the sean-nós singing, this is the place to be. So, before we finish up with the set of reels and another dance from Danielle, we'd just like to say thank you to our two side men over in the corner. That's Mitch and John, who have been with us since the start of the fest and have been so helpful to us and so professional in everything they do. So from Clara, Gearóid, Karen, Sue, Joe, Danielle, Máire and myself, Ray, gur míle maithagah agus tá sualas agam le dia go bhfeiceann muinte chéile ar an bhléin seo hagan. So we're going to finish with 2 reels and a bit of a dance.
All right, we're going to have some sean-nós singing in just a few minutes, so please stand by as we get this.